Right now, it is quite probable that the V12 Aston Martin Vantage is nothing more than a pipe dream rather than a reality. This is the case because it is currently in the present moment. On account of the current state of circumstances, this is the case. On the other hand, this is because the development of the V12 engine has not yet been completed. Due to the fact that it offers some degree of plausibility, I have a strong conviction that this is the case. When it comes to the sports car that will be produced in the year 2026, on the other hand, the British manufacturer has already established exceptionally stringent standards for itself at this point in time concerning the vehicles that will be produced. The particular automobile that is being advertised will make use of the 4.0-liter V8 engine that is already available in the model of the vehicle that is presently being advertised. This engine will be utilized in the automobile. The power output of the engine has increased by 30%, while the torque output has increased by 15%. Both of these gains are considerable, with the former increasing by 30% and the latter increasing by 15%. The engine has been responsible for both of these enhancements that have been made possible. These two characteristics have both been subjected to significant modifications and enhancements alike. The torque output of the engine has also been significantly improved as a result of this enhancement, which is a development that is considered to be favorable. The implementation of each of these specific modifications results in significant improvements being brought about as a consequence at the end of the process. Throughout the course of each of these improvements, modifications have been made to the framework as a whole. The occurrence of each of these shifts has taken place concurrently. In light of the fact that the design is now more closely resembling the DB12 sports car, which is a larger and more common vehicle that belongs to the same family, there has been less debate surrounding the design. The reason for this is because the DB12 sports car belongs to the same family as the other vehicles. There has been a reduction in the amount of criticism that has been directed towards the design as a direct result of this. The fact that the DB12 sports car is a member of the same family as the other automobiles that are also members of the family enables for the occurrence of this phenomena to take place. Because of this belief, the scenario that has come about as a consequence of the idea that the DB12 sports vehicle is a member of the same family as the other vehicles is the one that has come about as a consequence of this belief. The Volkswagen Vantage 2026 contains a number of unique elements that set it apart from the Volkswagen vehicles that came before it. One of these features is the installation of this one-of-a-kind function, which is one of the brand new innovations. It is distinguished from the Volkswagen automobiles that came before it by a number of different qualities, and this is one of those characteristics. When compared to the model that came before it, it is highly likely that the 2026 Aston Martin Vantage, which is manufactured with a 4.0-liter V8 engine, will be able to reach an increase in horsepower and torque of 155 horsepower and 85 pound-feet respectively. This is a very high probability. The reason for this is that the engine will be able to generate a greater amount of torque than the type that came before it. A significant amount of progress has been made in this context. There is a possibility that something similar could take place, and it is not completely out of the question. There is a significant likelihood that something will take place right now. Something is the moment when it is happening. Not only is this model pretty different from the one that came after it, but it is also very different from the model that came before it. This is because this model is a very different model. There are important distinctions between the two. Of them, there's a possibility that this will wind up occurring, taking into consideration all that has been taken into consideration up until this point. The cooling system has also been improved by the inclusion of 3 additional radiators, the installation of larger turbochargers, the adoption of appropriate compression ratios, and the modification of cam profiles. All of these modifications have enabled the cooling system to function more effectively. Every single one of these alterations has been carried out. A number of other enhancements were also incorporated after obtaining input, in addition to these improvements that were already implemented. Furthermore, it is vital to keep in mind that these are not the only modifications that have been done. Despite the fact that they are some of the changes that have been implemented, it is feasible to track the incidence of this illness all the way back to this particular explanation. in order to discover the genesis of this condition. During the acceleration phase of the acceleration process, it takes the vehicle 3.4 seconds to accelerate from a speed of 0 to 60 miles per hour. This figure depicts the acceleration phase. It is the acceleration phase of the acceleration process that is being discussed here. A depiction of the acceleration phase can be seen in this visual image. This target can be accomplished as a result of the revolutionary launch control system, which can be modified to match your unique requirements, as well as the grip that is provided by the vehicle's rear wheels. Both of these factors contribute to the fact that it is feasible to achieve this objective. These two aspects were taken into mind in the whole process. It is of the utmost importance to keep in mind that each of these criteria has an impact on the capabilities of the vehicle. In order to achieve this capability, there is a direct correlation between each and every one of these traits and the extraordinary acceleration capabilities that this vehicle possesses. Individually, each and every one of them is responsible for all that needs to be completed. The screen design has been expanded by 38%, and the width of the body has been raised by 1.2 inches. Both of these changes have been made. Furthermore, there has been a 29% increase in the volume of air that is able to enter the cooling system. This is a significant positive development. Additionally, the screen design has been expanded as part of this most recent design. The two of these improvements have been put into effect successfully. To add insult to injury, this is in addition to the fact that other adjustments have been implemented in conjunction with the adoption of these modifications. At the same time that this is taking place, the screen's layout is being proportionally -1 by 38%. At the same moment, this process is taking place. All of these modifications are taking place at the same time and for the same cause, and they are all taking place concurrently at the same instant. Additionally, the doors have been taken from their frames, and the unique Aston side strakes have been reattached to the body of the vehicle. Both of these modifications have been made. These two alterations have been included in the final version. These two modifications have been carried out in their totality throughout the entire process. Furthermore, these two alterations have been put into the final version of the document. These two improvements have been integrated into the technique in its totality throughout the course of the process. We anticipate that the price of the 2026 Vantage will be close to $200,000 when it is made available to the general public in the first couple of months of this year. This is based on our estimations. According to our estimations, this is the price that it will be. Our expectation is that this will take place at some point in the future. We have offered this forecast, and the reason that all of this has occurred is because this is the forecast.